Hi everyone, Janie here, and for all of you card makers today, I'm going to show you how to get the most use out of your scrapbook papers. So I'm talking about the ones that have, just a few images on them that are meant more for scrapbooking and not the ones that have an all over pattern that we can easily use for card making. And if you're anything like me, you'll go out and you'll buy a 12 by 12 paper pad because it has some beautiful papers in it, but the other half of them you can't use unless you're doing scrapbooking. And today I am going to show you how to use those. So what I'm going to be showing you is not the traditional one sheet wonder cards. This is more like one sheet wonder card toppers. But if you're interested in the traditional one sheet wonder cards, I'm going to put a link right here on the screen as well as a link below in the description box and a link toward the end of my video where you can see my video on one sheet wonder cards. But if you want to see what I'm talking about today, let's head on over and I'll show you.
So a lot of times we buy some wonderful paper packs that we love, and there are papers in here that can be used for making cards, for, some of the layers of your cards or even the top of your card. But then there are times you get pages like this and you go, well, I don't know how to make a card out of that. This is perfect for scrapbooking, but nothing else. And I'm going to show you today how you can get several cards out of a page like this. And in fact, I'll be using this page right here. And also, let me kind of move to the back here. A lot of times they come with pages that have, tags or things that you can cut out and use. And I am also going to be using, a couple things off from here. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this section at the top that has the little hole in it. And that's easy to do just by lining this up at 12 inches and cutting that across. And so we have that cut off. And now this is truly 12 by 12. And now it's time to start cutting what I need. And before I get going, I'm going to let you know I'm going to be making different styles of cards, including a slimline. So for that one, I am going to cut this at 3.5 inches. And let me make sure I actually have that at 3.5 inches. Okay. And I'm going to cut that piece off and set it aside. Next, I'm going to be doing some A2 size cards. And so I am going to be cutting this at 4 inches. Get that lined up just right. Okay, and cut that at 4 inches. And the next one I don't have to cut because I'm going to be making a square card and I have this at 4.5 inches. Guess what? I'm now going to turn it and I'm going to cut it at 4.5 inches this direction as well. And that is going to be creating the top of my square card. So we are going to take this and we are going to cut that at 4.5 inches. Make sure that is 4.5. And we have that. So now we have two pieces for two different square cards. And let me make sure I have the right one of these here. Yes, I do. So for this one, I am going to cut it at 5.25. So right there at 5.25. And I'm going to take this next piece and I'm also going to cut that at 5.25. All right, so these are for two A2 size cards. These are for two square cards. This is for one slimline card, and I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to be cutting that at, hold on one second. Sorry, I wanted to double check my measurements, and I am going to be cutting that at 9 inches. Right there. And this is the beginning of my slimline card. And I'm actually not going to be throwing away these pieces because I'm also going to be using those. Okay, I've got all of my card toppers cut out and I have got all of my card bases cut out and folded and ready to go. So before I start putting my cards together and doing a little decorating, I thought I would show you one of my special tips and tricks that I like to share. So what I've done is cut out the center. And the reason I do that is because, as you just saw, it's not going to show. And if I hadn't, I would have been wasting this much of the glitter cardstock. And that is a lot to waste because I can do many other things with that. And so what I do is I just leave a 1/2-inch border all the way around. There is a few ways to do this. You can use your paper trimmer, or you can take a die if you have a square die or rectangle die, depending on what you're doing, and just cut out a section in the center that you can reuse. So with that said, let's get to putting these cards together.
As I go along, I'll show you the products that I'm using for each card, and if I have links to those products, I will put them below in the description box. And I'm also showing step by step how I put each card together. Now, if you're wondering, why am I doing this in a slideshow manner? It is because it takes me forever to make cards. I know, most people have an idea in their head of what they're going to make, and they sit down and they make it. But that is not how my brain works. I do start off with an idea, but it's only an idea and not a plan. I change my mind often as I go along until it finally comes together and I am happy with the results. And I think this is good for you to know because some of you think that us card makers and crafters are amazing and we have these ideas and it just all comes together instantly in a 10 or 15 minute video. That's not the case. So if you're like me and it takes you a while to figure out what you're doing, don't worry about it. It's perfectly normal and you are just as good as the rest of us. So for this next card, you can see that I'm showing you the glitter paper that I used to cut out the pieces of the tree. And I'm showing you that because this is one of those pieces that I cut out from the glitter paper I used for the bottom layer. And I wanted you to see how I don't let it go to waste and how much I was able to get out of that one piece. I should also point out that on the tree I used foam tape on the bottom of each piece and beacon glue on the top of each piece. So when I layered them together on top of each other, it gave some dimension. And also, I don't show this, but I used frosted lace stickles to add a little snow effect as well. Well, I'm pretty sure by now you've all noticed that I'm making Christmas cards in February. And that's because one of my goals this year is to make Christmas cards every month so that I don't feel pressured when December rolls around. And another one of my goals this year is to start using craft supplies that I haven't used in a long time or may not have used at all yet. In the comments below, why don't you let me know what your craft goals are for this year? I would love to hear. So, even though this video is about making card toppers for your cards, I like to utilize everything, including the scraps. So, this last card that I'm making does not have a card topper, but I did use one of the scraps, and even though they're not included in this video, I was able to make 2 more cards with the scraps from this one piece of scrapbooking paper. So I was able to get 8 cards from one 12 by 12 paper. Keep in mind that how you cut the pieces for your card toppers will depend on the scrapbooking papers you use and where the images are. And of course, it also depends on the style and size of the cards you're making. I hope this has inspired you and given you some ideas of your own for using your scrapbook papers to make card toppers. Thank you so much for stopping by, and happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye. If you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I hope you consider that too. And if you do, be sure to click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos or giveaways. And I hope you stop by Crafters Castle on Facebook and also Crafters Castle Challenge blog to enter your creations.